Will I ever let somebody in front of me for money? Yeah, I would actually.
2-1. Hello, welcome to Ma'am Podcast, a very special episode for Mother's Day. Here with my favorite new mom, Chelsea. Welcome, Chelsea.
Hi, it's great to be here.
We're here to talk about mom stuff. And also, I do want to touch on the crazy jobs because we have good stories.
Yes.
So, Chelsea and I have known each other how many years now? How long have you and Derek been together?
Derek and I have been together since 2013. So what is that, like almost 12 years?
So 12, yeah. So we
12
probably...
years, married for 4, just had our anniversary. So.
Yay! Big deal!
Yeah.
And Derek, for all my 3 fans, Derek is Drew's best friend since like, what, 3rd grade, 4th grade?
Something like that.
They've known each other forever.
Yes.
And luckily, Chelsea and I got along because that's always dicey with the friends and the spouse.
It makes a big difference, right? When you have a friend and then you meet their significant other, it really can change the friendship. Either you spend more time with them or less time if you don't get along with their partner. So
that's it.
You lucked out.
Yes. Good job, Derek.
Yes.
A+. And Walona, your daughter, just turned 1, right?
Yes, she is 15 months now. So she's walking and we're almost talking. So it's very exciting. We're entering that really fun
where
stage.
You see her personality for real.
Yes. And, she's my daughter, so she already has a little sass, which I love.
I'm sure Derek loves it too, though.
We do. We love her so much. And I couldn't have imagined where we would be. And I'm so happy that we are where we are.
Well, it's hard to imagine your children. Now we can't unimagine them, but before you have them, you have no idea.
Yeah. How can you create a whhole person out of your imagination? Unless you're your husband who does that for a living.
That's it. I still don't think he wouldn't have conjured up our kids.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I can't wait to continue to get to know her. It's been a blast. I'm loving her. I love life. We're just doing great.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's something to hear. And you guys are doing so good because let me tell you, every time we leave, we're like, I'm so glad we don't have a baby. And you guys are just left, but you waited, and I think that's the difference. We started younger, and now we're like, we're done. I'm ready to be done and move on to that next phase. But you're still in that fun, and you're going to have kindergarten and the stories and the class parties.
Yeah.
And
we kind of did things in reverse order. We waited. Not on purpose necessarily, more by circumstance. And I have a over 40 moms group on Facebook, and I just pitched to the group. I was like, we should really be calling ourselves like chrysanthemum moms because those are the late blooming flowers.
And it's much more pretty than like over the hill or
and like
something.
Older mom or geriatric mom. Come on.
How come we're hearing geriatric at 40?
If you called me a geriatric mom, I would probably laugh. I don't care. I think being older is fantastic. And I think it's fantastic as a parent who's older because I think I let a lot of things go that maybe when I was younger, I would have struggled more with. So that part I think is actually a benefit.
It's huge. Walona's going to need so much less therapy than if you would have had her in your 20s. Because let me tell you.
If we're lucky, then yes, that's true. We can't exactly predict the future, but that's my hope that I have spent enough time working on myself that she won't have to then go back and heal my stuff when she's older.
Yes.
So that's my hope. And we're working really hard to make that the reality.
Well, I think you have a good shot. Like I said, we had Walker. That poor kid, I always tell him, I'm like, you grew up with us. I'm sorry. Like we had and it's funny to see even the difference we had 7 years apart. So the difference between us parenting Walker and parenting Beckett is night and day. And I can only imagine even now how much better it would be. We just, like I said, I can't. This is the best example of being a mom. I feel like a marshmallow that people are just taking bits out of. And in the end, there's not enough to make a s'more. Like, do you agree? Like with a mom, it's always just the husband, the kids, everybody just needs something.
I mean, I'm pretty new at it. So I don't think I've reached my limit yet as far as, but I know what you're talking about. And I definitely have moments where I think to myself, we have an easy baby. We have a wonderful, easy, good sleeping, good eating baby. And I feel like I can never brag about that, because if you brag about that to other moms, usually you get like side eye and daggers because they're like, how dare I? But we have an easy baby and it's still so hard. So when I think about it, I'm like, wow, there are people doing this under harder circumstances than me and my husband. So I just feel a lot of, I would say just admiration, respect, empathy, and compassion for women who are also mothers. And also like, just I would like to apologize to all of my friends who had kids before me, because I just didn't know. I just did not know what you were going through. So I apologize. I know now. Please don't hold it against me. Like, it is my turn now. I am going through it. So I get it.
Yeah, you got it. You got that.
And I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
That's it. And it's hard until you're in it. There's no way to prepare. There's no way to... Let's talk shitty childbirth here. 2 C-section moms here. So here's a bitchin' with the bitch. For you cunts that say that a C-section is not a real birth.
Or that it's somehow easier?
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Do you hear me? Moms that say C-section moms are not, go fuck yourself. Believe me, I'm a real mom, and you also don't understand the trauma of going through something like that physically yourself while hoping your baby is alive.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that you've shared your stories with me a little bit, and boy, I mean, if you don't know that's what's going to happen, it is traumatic. And you have to be very aware of what you're going through and how you're dealing with it afterwards, so that it doesn't turn into like a big T trauma, something that you're like, have to get over or get through. Because I feel like no matter what, childbirth in and of itself is a little traumatic, but little T traumatic, it's a big, huge change to your body, your soul, everything about you changes in an instant. And then you have this physical thing that you have to deal with.
Yes, and take care of forever.
And, I didn't know when I went into labor that I was going to be having a C-section. I had no idea. That was not my intention, of course. And it was a surprise. I believe your story is very similar.
Oh, I'll share it after you. Like, you're the guest. You share yours first. I can't wait to share how I almost died twice. So when people ask me if I'm going to try again for a girl, I can...
I know, right? It's so funny what people say to you about something that is so huge, and you're like, oh, let's just minimalize it and ask you if you want to do it again because your babies didn't have the genitals that you think they should have. Like, what?
Because also, Drew's clearly shooting boys. 2 boys, like, odds are another boy.
Yeah. I went into labor, so I'll back up a minute. My husband and I did a hypnobirthing class because I was very scared of childbirth. I knew that it was like, holy cow. And also I kind of had a little bit of a thing with like medical people. So I already had a little bit of I don't think I trust this. I don't like this. So we went the hypnobirthing route, which was very kind of like crunchy, very much like, bite on the stick, basically. Like, swear to God, it's like, here's a comb. You can squeeze on the comb. It will help you with your labor pains. And I'm thinking to myself, I was on my own planet during labor. If you gave me a comb, I would have been like, what the fuck is this? What do I do with this?
To stick it up my ass? I don't understand right now.
So looking back, it's funny that, it's great, but I think it's for experienced moms who have already been through labor. But what I will say, hypnobirthing helped me enjoy my pregnancy. I hear so many women who don't enjoy their pregnancy. Hypnobirthing allowed me to have confidence, allowed me to go through my pregnancy looking forward to the birth, looking forward to meeting my daughter. So all of that was really great. And also, I will say, I've never met a woman who was like, oh, I loved being pregnant. It was so great. They all had complaints. They all were like, this is terrible. I don't like it. It's the worst part of the whole thing. Okay, listen, older moms, I know you're with me on this. If you have a kid or get pregnant after 40, you've already had hemorrhoids. You've already had constipation. You already have lower back pain. You've already dealt with heartburn. You've already dealt with achy joints. You've already dealt with basically everything you deal with in pregnancy. I gotta tell you, that's definitely a positive because I was dealing with that stuff years before I got pregnant.
You didn't even have a baby at the end of it. It was just shitty stuff.
So for me, my pregnancy was wonderful. I did not dislike it. I enjoyed the process. And so I did hypnobirthing, went into labor. They wanted to induce me again because I'm geriatric. So they were like, we really want to induce you. And I kept pushing them off. I found a provider that was willing to work with me. So I'm approaching like 41 weeks. And I told my midwife, I said, if I get to 41 weeks and I have not gone into labor naturally, we can do some things. So we did some more natural interventions to induce my labor.
Sex, stuff like that.
Well, I did all those things, but we also did like a membrane sweep and a Foley bulb, which getting the Foley bulb put in was pretty rough. And the provider afterwards said, if you can deal with that, you're going to have no problems with an unmedicated birth. And I was like, oh, gee, thanks. Like,
I don't even know what that is.
Well, a Foley bulb is, it's a catheter that has a bulb on the end of it. So they insert it through the cervix, into your uterus, blow it up.
Yeah.
And that puts pressure on your cervix, which is supposed to get your body to start dilating your cervix. And you do that and it can take like up to 3 days for it to do anything. Well, that thing, it came out after like, I don't know, they have you leave it in for several hours.
Yeah.
It came out finally and like, I didn't think anything, like I didn't feel different. A day went by, like nothing was happening. We were scheduled for an induction in the hospital, which I really didn't want, on a Thursday. And I woke up that morning. We were supposed to go to the hospital at like 9 or something. And about 7:30 that morning, I went into labor. And I was like, yes, this is so awesome. I don't have to do the induction at the hospital. Like, we're going to do this the way I wanted to do it. And I had a doula that came to the house. And so I started my labor at 7:30 in the morning. We didn't go to the hospital until about 4 or 4:30. I remember being in labor and saying, we're going to be in rush hour because we gave birth at Mercy Gilbert, which is really far away from where we live.
Yes, that's big. And so, like not a convenient, like just pop on. Well, I guess you pop on the 101. You can get there, but still, it's
we were on the freeway, but it was during rush hour, so traffic was stopped, and I'm in labor, and I have my hypnobirthing meditation playing in the car, and I'm like holding myself up so that I'm not feeling the bumps, and I'm like breathing, and my eyes are closed, and I'm like just trying to get there. And so we get to the hospital finally. The check-in lady was like a total bitch. She was just like, I filled out all my paperwork ahead of time like I was instructed to do. But then when we get there, she's like, I'm going to fill out this form. And I was like, I already did that. And she's like, you didn't fill out the right one. And I was like,
because that's your fucking fault because you selected the form yourself.
I'm like, okay, well, can we just speed this up here? I'm like kind of, busy. So anyway, we finally get back to the room. And I continued my labor. So I think by the time I got to my room, it's like 5-ish or something. I was in active labor. And what I can tell you, because it's spotty, because I was on another planet. And I was trying to do unmedicated. I was like, I can do this. I want this to be,
natural as possible.
Right.
Yes.
I was like, let's try for it. Right. So I didn't want an epidural right away. I was like, let's see if I can do this. And then about, I want to say like 1 a.m, I was like, okay, let's do the epidural. I was like, how many hours has it been? Like, and how many hours of active labor? And like, I don't think anything, So I finally broke down, had the epidural, and then, had a few separate rounds of pushing. What ended up happening was she was stuck. And when she came out, she actually had like a scab on the back of her head because she was rubbing as I was trying to push her out. And, so obviously just kind of like a run of the mill kind of, oh, this isn't going to happen this way. And the doctor, I was waiting for the doctor to come in, and he basically, once he finally came in, he was like, okay, we have a couple options. Option one is we can put, whatever the vacuum contraption is that they put on their head.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we can do that, but you're still going to have to push it because, and basically at the end of it, he said, I have to tell you this as a medical professional that there is a chance of brain damage and like all this crazy
They can
shit.
decapitate them. Yeah, internal,
So all this crazy, so he says all this in a very flippant kind of way. And then he says, or we could do a C-section and you can meet your baby in an hour. And I was like, well, when you put it that way.
Yeah. So my baby could have brain damage, or I meet her in an hour.
Yeah. And at that point, we really were ready. And I think this was actually in the middle of the night because she was born at a 7-Eleven the next morning.
Oh.
So total labor was like 24 hours. And then, I think I had an epidural somewhere around 1 a.m. or something. And I just kept trying and trying and trying. She almost, my husband could see her. So she was almost there.
She was stuck.
But she was stuck, and she was not going to come out that way, no matter how stubborn I was or how,
what she was trying. Clearly, she was
not
trying.
Going to happen. And so then I was like, okay, I felt so much relief knowing, I get to meet her soon. This is going to be over. And up until this point, I was not prepared mentally, emotionally, in any way for a C-section. I put that in the corner of my mind as something that wasn't going to happen because I took those damn hypnobirthing classes. I was not going to have C-section. So I didn't even think about it, which in retrospect was probably a good thing.
Yeah. Well, no, you can't. There's also not.
I would have gotten so anxious about it, I think. So the fact that I went into it thinking that's not going to happen probably allowed me to just roll with it a little bit better. So then, they're prepping me for the C-section. So I'm separated from my husband while they prep the OR. And our midwife was great. She did a really good job of telling me what was going on when my husband was with the baby. But while they were prepping me, and I don't know if it was like this for you, okay? But first of all, I had the epidural, so I'm going through withdrawal. So I'm like violently shaking.
Oh yeah, it's fucking freezing in that room. It's the coldest room you've ever been in.
My arms are out, and I'm like violently shaking, and they're trying to put in an IV, and my mind is thinking, how are you gonna cut carefully into my body when the whole top half of me is flopping around like a fish? Like, I don't understand how this is okay. Like, don't you need to make sure I'm not like, whoa. Yeah, and the anesthesiologist was like, no, that's fine. And I'm just like, okay. But what was very jarring for me was I'm laying on this table. It's the biggest moment of my entire life. I'm scared, I'm anxious, I'm excited, I'm all of the feelings. And the people on the other side of the curtain are just having a very nonchalant conversation about what they're going to do after work. And I'm like, I'm over here, guys. Yeah, I'm awake. I can hear you. Sure, yeah, go get, I don't know, Mexican food. It was just such a juxtaposition of
what you wanted too.
Of what I was experiencing and what they were experiencing is like the biggest day of my life, and just another day at the office for them.
Yeah,
and that was so difficult to kind of integrate in a way that wasn't traumatic. To be like, okay, well, maybe if I perceive this as a good thing, like, okay, well, this is so run of the mill for them that I don't need to worry about it.
But it's also true.
But I felt very like I wasn't there.
Kind of dismissed.
And it was like they were working on my physical body, but where was I? I was like, me, the person who I am, was not factored into that experience. There was very little of anybody actually talking to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they told me they were going to shave my pubes or something, but that was it. And I'm like,
because I'm going to be fucking someone instantly. No one is seeing this for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm like, well, thanks for letting me know you're doing that. But like, could you not talk about,
Chi-Chi's happy hour after this?
Exactly. And then my husband told me later that when he was outside the OR, he was there where the doctor was like scrubbing in for surgery, and the doctor was straight up talking to to some other doctor about how he was in the market for a new car, and like a fancy car. I don't even remember what kind of car. He's like out there being like, I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini for this C-section. Good for me. And I'm just thinking like, this is so crazy that we are going through the biggest day of our life and these people are just like, oh, another day at the office. Like, yeah. And it was so crazy to like experience that. And then, of course, you know, just the physical sensation of a C-section. You can't describe that to somebody who hasn't been through it.
No.
It's like the weirdest.
You know, no pain. I'll say that.
It's the weirdest feeling. Like, I don't know what it was like for you. For me, it was like, to this day, I won't look because if we have another one, I don't want to know what they do.
Oh, I didn't look either. I couldn't.
Well, I've never even looked it up, like, to see. But I've heard that, and I'm like, I hesitate to even say this, but I'm pretty sure they like pull all your guts out.
They do,
and then they put them back in.
Yeah,
you know, and that is like, first of all, like, oh my god, and then you're like awake through it. It's like the craziest thing.
It's almost like a horror movie in real life.
It is absolutely a horror movie. However, what I will say is, thank God or whomever that they are able to do that. And I did have a good surgeon. He did everything correctly. I didn't have any complications after the C-section. So then the baby was out, and she was almost 1 ounce shy of 10 pounds.
She was such
her
a
head,
big girl.
Her head was 99th percentile. And I was like, well, no wonder I couldn't get her out. You know?
Yeah. Which is good. You didn't want the 99th percentile cervix size that could get her out. Like, that's the other thing.
I mean, it was crazy. And then, you know, so the midwife, Derek was with the baby, and the midwife was like telling me, you know, what was going on and that the baby was okay. And I was just waiting. I just wanted to meet her, and it like felt like it took forever. And of course, then they bring the baby over and they put her cheek on my cheek. Oh, tear. And I was just like, and then the sweetest moment, and I can't wait to tell Walona when she's older, but I used to sing to her when she was in the womb.
Yeah.
So there we are in the OR, and we've just been through this trauma together, and I was singing that song to her, and I was just like, I just could not wait to hold her.
Stop it.
I know, it was all I could do because I couldn't hold her yet.
But she heard that.
I know. And so, like, luckily, here we are. Here we are now. Everything's great. She's healthy. She's happy. I'm healthy. You know, I obviously have a couple probably more age-related ailments now than that had anything to do with the birth. But, you know, it was a crazy, crazy experience. And, you know, what can you say? Thank goodness for medical marvels and like where we are with medicine these days, because it saves a lot of lives and it prevents a lot of death, which is great. Yay for no death.
No, we don't like dead babies here.
But also, I really wish that, you know, the hospitals and the people that work in them and deal with patients had a little bit more
bedside manner.
Yes. And maybe they could just take like 20 seconds before they're gonna like be in the room with you to like just remember, oh, this is this person's biggest day of their life and they're going through something so incredibly scary. Maybe I shouldn't talk about what we're gonna eat for dinner tonight. Yeah. And if I do, maybe I should like, I don't know, treat this person like somebody that's awake and in the room.
Ask them what they would like for dinner. Include them in the conversation.
But, you know, here we are at the end of it, on the other side of it. And the only thing I can feel is grateful that everything worked out the way that it did. So, you know.
One of those things.
Yeah.
So are we ready for the barn burners that are mine? You will understand in a second why I'm crying about you being cheek to cheek with your baby after birth, too. So I was pregnant at 24 with Walker. Drew and I were not married. I was going through the divorce. Like, it was awful. My mom was heavy into drugs. Like, it was just a really bad situation. And I remember my Nana talked about how she was knocked out when she had her babies. And I was like, that's the way. Because childbirth scared the shit out of me. Pushing something. I couldn't wear a tampon. I'm like, how am I going to push something out? And I was just like, and I kept telling them, I was like, I really think I should have a C-section. She's like, no, you'll be fine. And we saw all these different doctors. My favorite moment in the doctor was when there was an African-American doctor and my mom kept calling her Bob Marley.
Oh my goodness.
So this was my pregnancy. Was like weird-ass, drugged-out, racist Rose. Drew's scared shitless, asking every person he meets, what's it like to have kids? So I had no birthing plan. 2 days before my due date, I went into labor, and it's hard to even describe. You don't know what the contractions were going to be. It felt like period cramps. And then at the middle of the night, I was like, I think we need to go. And it was funny because I had just shaved Drew's head. We were watching Evil Dead. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I think we need to go. So I go.
You were watching Evil Dead while you were in labor?
Yeah.
I was watching Ace Ventura 2.
There we go. Ace, so we have our movies. So I was like, let's go. So we go to the hospital. And at that age, I was like, I need my mom. So I was like, call my mom, even though this was a horrible idea. So we got there and I was like not dilated. So they had me walking. You're in pain. You're dripping. And I had to tell my mom that we didn't want her in the delivery room. She panicked. I had like a 26-hour labor. They gave me an epidural. My blood pressure was so high. And you know what helped so much was my mother sitting right there going, your blood pressure's high. Did you see her? Look at her blood pressure. Look at her blood. So I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know. So I got the second thing, and then they had to manually pop my water.
That happened to me too.
And they're like, there's poop in the water. We need to get him out. So they're like, okay, we're going to do a C-section. My mother proceeds to tell my brother, I'm not going to make it, and say goodbye to me.
Wow.
And also at 24, we had all of our friends there. We had Ted and Karam. We had Judd. Like, we had probably 8 people there just waiting.
That's hilarious. We had no one there. It was like, I don't want anyone to know. This is secret and private. I don't want anyone to know. I'll come out when I'm ready.
That's it. And that's how it should be. I learned. But at 24, I was like, I need my support system.
Yeah.
So they take me in, and he gives me another thing, and he like touches me. He goes, can you feel that? And I was so done at that point. I grabbed him. I go, I feel everything. Knock me the fuck out. And to his credit, he did. Whatever he gave me, it looked like the cover of Yellow Submarine with the Beatles. And then I just remember waking up. So I knew nothing. I felt nothing. I woke up and...
You mean during the C-section?
During the C-section. Nothing. I was out the whole time. I saw that and woke up, and the lady's doing stuff, and Drew was going to be with the baby like Derek. And my mom was going to be with me. And I go, oh, my mom's supposed to be here. And she goes, if I don't get your blood pressure under control, you're going to die. So I'm 24 and I'm just like, okay.
Give me more of that stuff that you gave me a few minutes ago.
I was like, oh, hey, I'm terrified. I've never had a baby. I'm alone. I don't know what's going on. Then they wheel the baby in an incubator, and they're like, okay, so he's having respiratory problems. We have to air vac him we were at Mercy Gilbert as well. We have to air vac him to Chandler Regional, which is 15 minutes up the road. And I was like, I was emotional, and I was like, can I go? And they're like, no, you can't. I was like, but my baby. And Drew, God, for being terrified before, the minute Walker was out, he was his dad, and he was crying. And my dad even said, he goes, that's a man. And Drew made them take him on the helicopter. They don't do that. And he went on, he goes, I can't. He's my son.
Yeah.
And he went on the helicopter with him. So my mom stayed with me. They got my blood pressure under control. They had to let me out early. The fucking doctor that I told should have a C-section came in, and she goes, you were right. I go, I was fucking right. Let me out. I want to go see my baby. So I didn't see Walker for 2 days.
Yeah.
We drove over to the hospital. I'm puking in those bags they give you. And I just remember seeing him and being like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, you know? And then the next day I went back, because whatever they gave me for my blood pressure is what affected his respiratory. Nothing was wrong with him. So he was also like the biggest, healthiest baby in the NICU. And I'm like holding him and like, and I was just like, I could stare at you forever. And so that was traumatizing, but also like it set expectations. I was like, I know I'm a C-section. More than likely we have a NICU baby. So we had Beckett 7 years later, and that was nothing similar. I was older. And at 35 weeks, I woke up in the middle of the night covered in blood.
Oh my goodness.
Just covered in blood. And I went and threw up, and we started driving to the hospital with Walker. And they thought they were going to have to induce me. And they said, no, we think we can have you wait. Just like, don't wait a week. But they're like, keep monitoring your blood pressure. I had stroke level blood pressure for a week.
Wow.
And I'm like,
they didn't have you come back in with
no, I had to
symptoms?
wait. Yeah, no. They said, wait a week and then see the high risk. I go to the high risk. She literally goes, what are you doing here? You need to be at the hospital. I'm like, thank you very much. I'm glad I'm not dead.
Goodness.
So then I'm like, okay, like this is not good. We get over there. Then I had a fucking nurse that was like, let me ask you some questions. Do you feel safe with your partner? I'm like, get him back here. Yes, I feel safe with him. Like, what are you fucking asking me, lady? Like, I am not a domestic violence victim.
Timing? Anyone?
Yeah. I'm like, no, get him here. So then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I need to get him out or I'm going to die is all I can think. And the nurse comes back and she's like, well, I go, I'm having a baby today. She goes, well, we don't know if you're having a baby today. I go, call the doctor. So Drew got on the phone with the doctor. The doctor called the hospital. Then they came back in and they're like, yep, emergency C-section time. So I was panicking because I was knocked out the first time. So I didn't know what to expect, even though I had one. So they're wheeling us back and they're playing that song Once I Was 7 years old. And Walker, when he turned 8, he was like, I want to sing that song. So I'm like bawling. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm telling Drew, I'm like, remarry if I die. Like that was my last words to him. And they get you in, you're just like cold. And they got him out. And I remember he like got over there and I could see Drew's back. And I've known Drew since he was 15 years old. And I know when he's scared. And I just saw that. And I was getting my tubes tied because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And the anesthesiologist, hand to God, goes, don't tie her tubes. I'm on the table, guts out. She goes, don't tie her tubes. So all I could think is, my baby's dead. Like that, you know what I mean? Don't tie. Oh, wouldn't you think that? And I was thinking, yes. She said, don't tie her tubes because my baby's dead. And she thinks I'm going to have another one. I'm like, newsflash, if he is dead, I'm done. And then they got him breathing. And at least we were in the same hospital. But he was in the NICU. I didn't get to see him till the next day. And then, so even better, I get wheeled back to recovery and Megan, you know Megan, sweet Megan, I'm talking and the nurse kept coming and looking and then 2 nurses came in and then 3 nurses.
Looking at you?
Yeah, I was hemorrhaging.
Okay.
So because I had preeclampsia with Walker, swollen, so swollen. I had eclampsia with Beckett. Both awful. So I lived through that. And then Beckett had like the worst NICU. Like you want to talk about everyday things. They gave him an adult dose of this medication called TPN. And we're like, what? And they're like, well, don't worry. Some other babies got it much worse.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that they got the dose more. Okay. Then I heard them talking about how there was a drug baby next to me. And then after 8 days, Chandler took him to find his heart defect, where we had to once again ride an ambulance to another hospital. So I'm like, I've had 2 air vac babies. They have little matching beanies too. That's like the worst club to ever be in.
Right.
And we're driving in this ambulance and I'm bawling, my baby's in the back. And I'm just like, seriously, I was prepared for a C-section and NICU, not for this. And he's like talking about the weather. He's like, it's real windy, blah, blah.
Who was?
The driver of the ambulance. I'm like, just don't talk to me right now. Like,
I know, right? Isn't it unfathomable when you hear people's stories of, you know, their interaction in the medical industry and how just, like I said, it's somebody else's just regular everyday job. Yeah. I mean, I've had some jobs, but none of them were on people's worst day of their lives. You know, so
well, exactly.
And I'm thinking like, I mean, it seemed I've had some pretty bad customers. I was like, I think this might be the worst day of your life because you're really being a jerk to me. But would you like fries with your hand?
You know? Sorry that we're out of lemonade, ma'am. I don't.
But isn't it interesting that in the, you know, the medical field, not only is there just, it seems to be a frequent miscommunication where part of your team knows what's going on and the other part doesn't know yet or something like that. And also, why do they use fear tactics with new moms? Why do they do that? Because with our baby, we had the nurse from hell. Like she literally, I think she had the horns like tucked behind her hair so we couldn't see them. She came in, we hadn't slept for literally 36 hours. Yeah. It's the following night, actually longer than that. We're like in hours 40 of not sleeping after going through a full day of labor, the C-section, being in the hospital, it's the nighttime. And I will say during the daytime, we had just the sweetest, most perfect nurse you could ever want after having a baby. But then in the night shift, she came in and was basically telling me that if we didn't give our baby formula immediately, that they were going to have to continue to check my baby's blood sugar, which is like a pinprick in the heel. They make your baby cry. They make your baby bleed. You can't do anything about it. And like if we didn't give the baby formula, that we were going to have to do that every 2 hours, and then maybe the baby was going to end up in ICU. Like, she used all these scare tactics to try to get us to get the baby to eat, you know. And looking back, I'm like, well, I wish I had, you know, I was sleep deprived. So I couldn't say to her in that moment, like, my baby is like 98th percentile for weight. I'm pretty sure she's good. Like, we don't need to worry about her getting jaundice because she's got extra weight on her because she went to 41 weeks. Okay. So she grew extra in me and she's got lots of weight on her. So I think we're okay. I mean, she's 10 pounds, not 6. Okay. But she literally used these scare tactics on us to the point where she left the room and I said, can we have a couple minutes? And what she was really wanting, and like, she wanted me to, like, I was trying to breastfeed. It wasn't going well. It wasn't easy. I'm new at this. I didn't know what I was doing.
She wanted to be done.
And and so she's wanting me to use a nipple shield, you know, and she's like forcing these things on me and like telling me if I don't do what she wants me to do, that all these scary things are going to happen to our baby. And I'm recovering from a C-section in this shitty hospital bed going, I don't know what to do. And we have her leave. And then I talked to Derek, and can you believe me and my husband had to have a conversation where we were like, okay, we're too tired to fight with her. So what is the path of least resistance to just get her to leave us alone?
Yeah.
That is literally the way that we made the decision. And so she comes back in and I'm like, okay, fine. You want me to try nipple shields? I'll try that. And then, you know, the breastfeeding journey was a whole other journey that we won't get into today. But let me just say, I think that intervention actually was a fork in the road for my breastfeeding journey. And I wish I could go back in time and just tell her to get the fuck out of my room and that I wanted a different nurse. But we were so sleep deprived. We were so new, scared, anxious, didn't know what was going on. I'm recovering from an unexpected C-section. And I'm just like, lady, what is your problem? Why are you like this? You know?
She works the night shift. Because I will tell you, we have had...
They put the worst employees on night shift.
They do. The worst. Those fucking night nurses.
Except for me. My night shift jobs, because I was really good.
No, these people fucking suck. No, they were the worst.
Yeah.
Every night nurse we had, and Becca had 2 open heart surgeries. Yeah. And also the fucking night nurses judge you. Like, I was expected to get up and do everything for him. Drew got, like, an award, like, just for being there. They're like, this is amazing that you're here, sir. And they're like, ma'am, wake up. We need you. I'm like, what do you... You're in the...
Get up with your fresh C-section wound and tend to your baby.
Yeah. Thank you so much, night nurses.
By the way, don't lift anything heavier than 5 pounds. Here's your 10-pound baby that you're trying to breastfeed. Okay. And, you know, make sure that you don't, rip a stitch. So don't go up and down any stairs. I'm like, we live in a tri-level, so...
That's how I was.
Good luck with that, you know. Yeah. But at least we're here now.
That's it. And look at that great segue into shitty jobs. Like, that's perfect.
I will just say, though, thank goodness that both of your boys ended up healthy.
Yes.
And I can only imagine what it was like to go through all of that. And...
Big T trauma.
Yeah.
Ended up with a drug problem. Hey, you know.
But here we are now.
We're recovered.
Now you're a MILF.
Now I'm a MILF. Believe me, I was like a hot mess. I looked like I was an intervention MILF before.
Who needed the money?
Yeah, I was like, I remember watching Intervention when I was on drugs and kind of being like,
right? You watch it when you're not sober because it makes you feel better about yourself.
Because you're not that bad. That's it.
I'm okay. I'm not that bad.
I'm functioning. Okay, I might hit things with my car, but I make it to work sometimes.
I know, right? And now I can't watch it anymore. Now
it's too sad, and
it breaks my heart.
It brings back memories, and you know why they're doing it. You know the psychology because you figured it out.
And you're just like, I can't. No thanks. Change a channel.
Yeah. Wish you the best.
Yeah.
So what was the shittiest job? Like, can't believe you actually had it.
I had to prepare for this part of our talk because I have had so many jobs. I looked it up actually, so I wouldn't be completely full of shit. But apparently millennials by the age of 48, which is a weird calculation because I don't know if millennials even are 48 yet.
No, we're like the oldest is 43, 44.
Right. So I don't know if it's a projection. I don't know. But I guess the estimate is that by age 48, millennials will have had 12 jobs. That's the average. Do you want to take a guess how many jobs I've had?
24.
More?
36.
Close.
40.
I ballpark 35. I can remember 33, but I think there's probably a couple I just can't remember. So yeah, 33 that I can remember.
That's okay.
Now I'm talking about like full jobs, like full-time, showed up every day for more than a year. I'm talking about part-time jobs. I'm talking about spot jobs where I just did something one day to get a check. I'm talking about temp jobs, like anything under the umbrella of I did something, I did X for money.
It counts.
Then yes, in the 30s. But, you know, it's actually fitting to my personality because I've always been kind of like if I've never done it before, I want to do it. And I also, you know, I'm one of those like, how hard could it be people?
Yeah.
Where I look at somebody doing something, I'm like, how hard could this be really? And I'm a quick learner. So I like to just experience lots of different types of jobs, which I have.
Yeah, which is good though. Maybe that's why we're friends, because I'm the type 2. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. Why not?
Yeah.
So I think
why not?
Why not?
Well, you only live once. YOLO.
If we
all do that.
If it's shitty, then it's a great shitty story.
Exactly.
Like it's win-win. So no, I understand what you're serving. I'm eating up.
All we have is experiences,
That's
right?
it.
Like that's what we're here to do is experience life. So let's experience it. So that has led me down some very interesting paths. The shittiest job I've ever had is hard for me to pinpoint because I've had so many jobs I would categorize as shitty.
What's your favorite story from a shitty job then? Like the one that you're just like, yes, this is it.
That's also difficult. I have a few. Okay. So I worked at Flying J truck stops.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's basically retail.
Yeah.
Plus chicken gizzards. That's what working at a truck stop is. And I actually got to learn a lot about truckers and what their life is like and what kind of people go into that business. And what I'll say is what you imagine when you think of a trucker is correct.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep. There's no surprises. It is what you think it is.
Yeah. They're not reading Shakespeare back there, guys.
So one thing that I very much remember from working at this truck stop, the truckers would come in and they'd have like paperwork that they had to fill out for the fuel or whatever. They had to get the receipts and it was like this whole thing. I'm sure it's updated now. This was like 20 years ago. But the guy comes in and I'm working on this like receipt for him and I look at his shirt. Okay. I look down at his shirt and he's got like an applique, like some word or something on his shirt. And it's like poked out from his t-shirt a little bit. And I'm like, that looks a little funny. And I look closer and I'm like looking at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, that is mold. That's mold growing on his shirt that he is wearing. How the fuck does that happen? How does that happen? I'm running scenarios. I'm like, has he been in a dark hole for a few days? With a moist shirt on? Like, did he drop food on his shirt and it's just been sitting there? Did he ball up the shirt and throw it in the back of his truck and then he had to put a shirt on to come in and so he just grabbed whatever shirt he could reach and then he put it on and it just happened to have mold on it?
And he didn't notice for the record.
He did not notice. He did not notice. And I was just like, this is disgusting. First of all, if your shirt is that dirty, like how dirty is
your body?
The rest of you?
Yeah.
So that was memorable.
Wow.
Yeah. But that job wasn't the worst job. It was an interesting job, but it wasn't the worst. For me personally, any job I would categorize as the worst jobs were the sales-based jobs.
Yes.
I'm not a salesperson. I wish I was.
No, you don't.
I mean, I wish I was good at it because people who are good salesmen are extroverted. They're likable. They're, quick. They can they can get what they want,
You're all of these things and just not a shitty person.
I don't know. Maybe it's like the money part of it that just always kind of got in the way. So I did do a couple sales jobs where it was like an industry, like a nonprofit sales job.
Okay.
Talk about oxymoron, right?
Yeah.
I would be like in a sales position for a nonprofit. Like what? But then I could at least try to convince myself that I believed in the cause,
Yeah.
But they always ended badly. They always ended with me being like, I cannot fucking do this anymore. I want to just go and not do this. Like, I'll do anything else.
Yeah.
That
desperation.
of where I'll do this. So for me, the shittiest jobs were the sales-based jobs and the jobs where you literally didn't get any base salary or wage at all. It was just pure sales.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had a few of those where I was like really trying to go out there and just make it, make money by convincing other people that I could do something for them or give them something that they wanted. But those were, most of those jobs were taken out of some kind of, desperation for money.
Quick grab. Yeah. Money grab. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What would you say is your shittiest?
Phallus. Oh, okay. Victoria's Secret. You know what? I take it back. Victoria's Secret, the bullying and but also devil's advocate. I'm to a point in therapy where I can take my part of the blame. I remember on Black Friday, I was pushing a box full of bags across the sales floor and just left it in the middle of the floor. And I remember Ashley yelled at me. I'm like, why'd she yell at me? I left a box in the middle of the floor. But Phallus, I should have known. Like, I went and it was on Baseline, like by Arizona Mills Mall. But I just wanted to be a district manager so bad that I was like, well, whatever. I can do this. I can do this anyway.
Right?
It was like a shitty Ross. Like, I remember the toilet kept backing up in the store I was in. I
Isn't
go
that
to
the
the
worst?
dollar store. Yes. And we had shipment and the company was like going out of business. Like, when I think of if I'm in hell, it is just working at that job nonstop. I would lay in bed like, should I kill myself or should I do this job?
I know, that's rough, right?
Thank God for COVID. They closed down because of COVID. So they kind of made my decision easy. So as much as COVID fucked the world, it was good for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What was your worst boss?
Oh, that one is hard. Okay, so here's what I'll say about me. I have a baked in problem with authority. I always have. I think I always will. And I have always found that, I'm like a get into a new job, learn the job really quick, learn how to make it better, do really well. Like literally every job I've had where I could move up, I moved up and I moved up quick, right?
Yeah.
Because I could ascertain very quickly, what needs to be done here? What's the best way to do it? What are they missing? What value can I add? And also, if I had a boss, I was very quickly able to be like, are you full of shit? Are you worth the respect? Do you know what you're doing? Do you deserve the wage, the salary that you're making compared to what I'm getting? I don't know. So that was always a little difficult for me. So if you had to ask me how many shitty bosses I've had, I would probably say so many of them. I cannot say shittiest. I can just say I've had a plethora of not great bosses, and I'll give you a couple examples.
Yes.
Okay? So one of the fun jobs I had was an escape room facilitator.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that does sound fun.
It totally appealed to my voyeuristic side.
Yes.
As I would watch people I'm in the secret room watching you.
Yeah. Here's a clue. Here's a clue. Go over that wall.
Yeah. So this guy was kind of I'll call him a doofus, right? But he was trying to run his own business, and this was when they started becoming popular. So I got this job. I'm making minimum wage, maybe 50 cents more than minimum wage or something. But it's kind of a second job for me. So it's more like a little extra money, a fun little thing to do. Cool, let's do it. Well, he ended up hiring it was sort of his friend, but this guy that he knew from some other job that he had or something. So his friend.
Yeah.
And we would be in this room together, in this little closet, basically on computer screens, watching people try to solve these clues and doing what we were doing. And so I get to know this guy a little bit. I find out, he knows the boss, he knows the owner, they go way back or whatever. This guy was young. Younger than me, cool guy that was too good to clean the bathrooms at the end of the night,
Yeah.
One of those guys. He was showing me his modeling headshots and all this stuff. I was like, oh, you're really cool. Yeah. How's this job with the escape room treatment?
Yeah. The same fucking job that I have right now. Yeah.
But for some reason, he left out his paycheck on his desk. And I realized I had been there longer than him. And I realized he was making $2 more an hour.
Oh,
just because he knew the guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, that sucks. And I was like, well, what do I do about this, right? Do I do anything about this? Do I just, like, quit? Do I confront the boss?
Yeah.
Do I confront the guy? Because to me, I'm like, first of all, is it because I'm a woman? Is it because you know this guy? Is it because you don't care and like you're not even thinking about things that way? Which kudos to you for running a business and not actually giving any thought to like how you're treating your employees and if it's fair or if you have any protocols in place at all. And so what I ended up doing was quitting and basically telling him like, hey, dude left his paycheck out and I saw that you're paying him more than me. So either you're going to pay me what you pay him or I'm not going to work here anymore. And he basically was like, okay, well, I can't pay what I pay him. And I said, okay, well, I don't work here anymore.
Yeah.
And that was that. You know, I thought that was pretty shitty. And let me think. Oh, I had another, my manager, when I worked at Goodwill for a year in Fountain Hills, it was a very nice Goodwill, very nice Goodwill. But this was right when I moved here and I was trying to get my butt back in school, right?
Yeah.
School's important, everybody. Kids, it's important. Go to school. Unless, you know, you want to do a trade school instead, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get back into college.
Yeah.
And I had worked out my schedule for college so that I could go to school and take all of my classes on 2 days out of the week. I went to my boss and I said, listen, I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
You know, better myself. Here are the 2 days I need off every week. I will literally work any shift the rest of the 5 days. I just need these 2 days off every week so that I can go to school. He would not do it for me. He would not work with me at all. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of person are you?
That's
I want to go to college and I'm like, you know, trying to survive on my own out here, like in Arizona, away from my support system. And like, I need a job, but I also want to go to school. And I'm telling you that I meticulously crafted my school schedule to only be 2 days out of the week so that I could work here the other 5 days. And you're not even gonna consider working with me?
That's bullshit.
Right, that's pretty
I was a retail manager for 22 years. I worked every time with it. I would be like, I want you happy. Your life is important. You're not a lifer. Like, but I also was the kind of boss that if it was a really shitty thing, I would do it because I made more money. Not the other way around where I'm like, well, I make more money. I'm not going to do that. Like,
right. So that was pretty shitty in my opinion. So yes, I quit. I quit that job. I quit it pretty dramatically too, because Goodwill has those big sales every other Saturday. I don't know if they still do, because again, this was a long time ago. But it was the morning of one of those big sales where everything in the store is 50% off.
Oh, so everybody's going to be there.
It was going to be a very busy day. I was opening the store. So what I did was I put the keys to the store in an envelope and I pushed it through a crack of the door with a little note on the envelope that said, "Good luck, smiley face."
That's amazing.
Yeah, don't fuck with me, okay?
Yeah, no, I will not open your Goodwill on a Saturday.
Yeah, so that was pretty shitty. My very first what I'll call real job, the owner, it was a small business. It was food service. I actually really liked that job. It was very fun, very fitting for me at the time. But it was a small business owned by a family, and the owners, like, okay, it was like old school, right? The cash register, like if you were on the drive-through, the cash register, you had to do the math. If they gave you cash, you had to look at their receipt and do the math in your head and give them give them change based on your arithmetic in the drive-through, because their cash registers were literally from the 70s and that they never updated them. It was so funny. And I had a little microphone. I'd have to be like, blah, 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 your order's ready, blah, blah, blah. It was like so much fun. But so my till came up short on 2 separate occasions. It was short $10 twice. Yeah. So that's a total of $20, right? And I don't know what the law is or was back then, but I was pretty sure that they couldn't just fire me for that. And I was also pretty sure that they couldn't take the money out of my wages.
Yeah. No, they can't legally.
What they could do, though, was strongly suggest that I give them the money back. So the owner, who is like, I don't know, he was in his probably 70s at that point. And I'm like a 19-year-old that's doing a really good job for them, showing up, doing a full-time job, being very responsible. And he literally came into the store and was like, I'm going to need you to pay us that $20 back. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to need to bring it back to you. So I went home, I thought about it. I was like, this seems kind of fucked up to me because I literally am a very good employee. You know, I'm not like bullshitting here. Like I was a good worker, am a good worker. And so what I ended up doing for this is my very first job ever. It's very telling of the rest of my career. I brought in a $20 bill. I slid it across the counter to him. I said, bud, here's your $20. I'm not going to work here anymore. And I left. Good. Because I was like, if $20 is more important to you than having a reliable, good working employee, then go fuck yourself, okay?
Well, and you knew instantly he didn't trust you in that moment. Why are you going to work for somebody that doesn't trust you?
That too. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. So, yeah. And then I'll do one more. Because like I said, I could keep digging these up, you know, because I just have a radar for picking shitty bosses and shitty jobs, okay? So one of the last jobs I had was during COVID. Okay. It was a nonprofit. And during COVID, we got rid of some people, which meant that I had to literally do 3 different jobs at once, working from home with literally my own equipment. Okay. They didn't give me a computer. They didn't give me like a headset. They didn't give me anything other than what I already had. And which, I mean, they probably would have given me some shitty refurbished computer from like the 90s or something because it was a nonprofit. But I was like, I'll just use mine. It's cool. So I will say they would have given me something to work with, but I knew it wasn't going to be good enough. So anyway, we're in the middle of COVID. It's crazy stressful. We're trying to adapt. I'm literally doing things like creating an online store for this nonprofit that never existed before. I'm doing marketing. I'm doing scheduling. I'm doing managing from home. I'm literally doing like 3 or 4 different jobs all at one time. Needless to say, a little stressful.
Yeah. And during COVID.
So I had a day where one of the store managers literally bitched me out over the phone and started yelling at me, and I got so upset. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, there was this culture of like, don't be a tattletale at this place. So I was like, okay, I don't want to like go to the CEO because she's just actually going to make this whole situation worse if I bring it up. So I'm just going to like deal with that. But anyways, all to say, I was under a lot of stress. Okay. And I was doing all these jobs. I was really trying to like pull my weight and like help.
Yeah.
So one day I got a little stressed out on the phone with her having a phone meeting, and I don't even know what we were talking about. I just remember I kind of like raised my voice a little bit and I got a little stressed out, and like verbally it was very clear that I was like very stressed out. You know, obvious, very obvious. And her solution to me going through what I was going through and being stressed out was to mandate that I go back into the office and work with people who were going into other people's homes in a closed office so that people would then be coming into my office and talking to me and exposing me. So her solution to me being stressed out with all of the load that I was carrying was to take me out of my comfortable environment where I felt safe.
Yeah.
Force me to go back to work in the building, sit in an office all day with no windows, and keep the door closed because I didn't want people infecting me.
Yeah.
That was her solution to that problem. And I was like, are you human? Like, can you not, is it okay for me to have a bad day? Is that not allowed? Like, could you not have just been like, do you need a break? Like, hey, why don't we take a break and I'll call you in an hour and we can kind of talk about what's going on. Nothing like that at all. It was just immediate shut down. Don't do this. Stop doing this. You have to come back to the office. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is how you're going to treat me after
all this?
After all the work I'm doing for you, you're going to take away the one good thing, which is the ability to work with my cat on my lap? Yeah. You're going to take that away from me now? Like, what? So needless to say, from that day on, my husband and I started formulating a plan. He was working on his career. And I slowly started to take my sick days and my vacation days. And then once they were all gone, I said, okay, I don't work here anymore. See you later. Bye.
Hey, that's what you need to do, though. Use that shit up.
So that was something I learned about working, you know, as a manager. So it's not everybody's cut out for it. I will say that. And it seems to be that people who are really not good at it are the people that want to do it the most.
Yes.
The people who don't want to be managers are the people who should be managers, because those are the people that are like, look, just get your work done. The rest of it, just don't make problems. Just get your work done, show up, go home, live a good life. Like, that's literally all we need from you. So that's a little amuse bouche of my shitty job experiences. What about you?
All right. Well, I have to say I was a manager for 22 years. And I was that kind of manager. Very, let's have a good time. Like, I was a great manager. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but because I'm also a Libra and I'm an extrovert and I relate to people, and I'm also a hard worker because my parents didn't love me, so I only got love externally, so I really overachieved at work and school. So, like, my bosses love me because I was the type too. I'll go scrub a fucking toilet. I could be the CEO of the company and I will go scrub a toilet.
Right?
I'm never too good for that. I grew up in Sandwich, fucking Illinois. Every day is a gift. I will do it. But it's funny. I started out, I had a shitty job, like a small food job too. It was called Papa Kelsey's, and they were Mormon. I don't even know. He was a dick. Something happened and I quit. But I remember he called my mom and told her that I quit because I partied too much.
Random. They were partying, drinking all that coffee and smoking those cigarettes.
Yeah. I was like, I hadn't drank at that point and I didn't party. So I was like, you fucking asshole. And luckily my mom, I will say that, she would have my back. She's like, fuck you, no. So, and then I was 18. She goes, don't you think it's time you get a job? And I was like, oh, cool, I guess so. Yeah, my student isn't enough. So I got a seasonal at Mervyn's. And I have to say, I loved it. I also slept with a boss there, Patrick. So I was seasonal. They only kept 2 people in the shoe department. And Patrick was, I don't know, he had to be late 20s, early 30s, like bald, thick, like moderately attractive. I don't know, but I had daddy issues clearly. So he and I would flirt. And I was very like upfront about it. Like I sexually harassed a photographer at our school. So Portrait by Ridge would come take your school pictures. And there was this photographer, Tony, that I had a crush on. So I would be like, oh, Tony, when are you going to fuck me? Like, I would be that direct.
Oh, my goodness.
So then then he wasn't allowed to be there anymore. So I was like, where's Tony? And they're like, he's not allowed to come back here. And I was like, why? They go, I was like, oh. So, like, I was very upfront, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I was very sexual. And so I would flirt with this guy. And I don't even know. It was like Christmas time and we went and fucked in like the training room. And then another time, which this is just the cherry on top. And he was also like hitting on other chicks, like flirting. Like it was a whole like Tawdry Mervyn's situation. He called me up to his office and he bent me over a ladder and he fucked me in his office. Yeah. I remember I was wearing light corduroy pants that were around my ankles. And he just hunked away. And people found out. So it got up to the store manager, who looked like Ben Stein. Talked like Ben Stein. I get called into this office, and he's like, Sarah, did you have sex with Patrick? And I had to be like, he goes, you won't get in trouble. I just need the truth. And I fold like a deck of cards. Like House of Cards, I fold. Like, I talk a good game. I'm a bitch. When it comes to getting in trouble, I'm like a scared little girl, and I'm like, I'll do whatever you want, daddy. So I told him everything. I was like, I fucked him in the training room. He bent me over a ladder. Like,
and then you fucked Ben Stein.
And then Ben Stein was just like, and you can go. Now as a 40-year-old woman, I'm like, I could have fucking sued.
I was thinking about that. Like, the amount of sexual harassment and inappropriate behavior that we probably both went through in our early 20s because Me Too was not a thing yet, and it was totally
we were also being raped. That's it. The Me Too was happening. We just hadn't come out.
Right. We were literally going through it.
Yeah.
Before we got old enough to be like, wait a minute, that was fucked up. And actually found like a weird like handwritten report going through some old boxes. I start reading it and I'm realizing that I am reaccounting like sexual harassment at one of my jobs that I was then to give to my manager, which of course nothing ever came of it.
It never does, no.
And I was just like, and then I'm thinking back to like the same fast food job that I started with. And the cook was like in his 30s and we were literally like, okay, we were legal, but not when I started. But like we were like 17, 18, 19 and he's flirting with us and like talking about all kinds of inappropriate things. And I'm just like, wait a minute, that's like not okay.
But at the time, you're like, this is so awesome. I'm such an adult.
Exactly. You feel like an adult, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we made it through, mostly unscathed.
Well, I ran into him here. So he got fired. He was
Isn't that the worst when you run into somebody that you had something with? Yeah. And you're like, oh God, I regretted that. Oh my God, this is awkward.
I was at the same mall that we used to work at.
Were you wearing the same corduroy pants?
I don't remember what I was wearing, but I was at Wetzel's Pretzels, so I didn't get a pencil. And someone gets up and graces their crotch against me. Oh God. I look and it's him. He's like, hey, Sarah. And I was like,
gross.
Hi, Patrick. I'm like, how are things? I'm working at JCPenney Home Store. You should come visit. Ooh. I go, I don't want to be bent over a Chase Lounge. Thank you. Have a good day. So Patrick, wherever you are. Okay. I loved Vans. That job I loved. But we had these manager meetings that we would go to Huntington Beach. And I hated my husband at the time. It was not Drew. So I was fucking this guy from Oregon. I stayed in his hotel room. I called him Grizzly Adams. I don't remember his actual name whatsoever. He had a beard and he's from Portland. And we had been at a meeting together. And then we were and his roommate was in the room. This was tawdry.
Yes.
The last night, well, I guess the second to last night, we're on the beach and people are smoking weed. And to be honest, I did take a puff, but somebody didn't see. Some fucking narc went and told. Some fucking narc told on us. So for the second time in my life, I had to rat on someone I slept with to keep my job, because how am I going to explain to my husband, well, I was fucking a gentleman from Oregon and we got caught smoking weed, so oops, I'm unemployed. So I had to say it, write it out and cry, and it was awful. I also fucked somebody in an Aeropostale. He was applying to work at Vans.
Oh my God.
I gave him a real tryout. He didn't end up getting, I ended up getting hired because I wasn't doing the hiring, but I went in and I did it at Aeropostale.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't have any, mishaps that were quite in the same category, although I did do my fair share of, we'll call it shopping while I was at work. And then, what can I say? We all have a past.
That's it.
I mean, there were times in my youth where I considered, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be young forever. So maybe, desperate times, right? I mean, let's talk about millennials, going into the workforce around the time of the recession. Things were rough, right? And if you're trying to make it on your own and you don't come from a rich family, you're paying your own bills, sometimes you got to just do what you're going to do to make some money, right? And that was before the days of OnlyFans. Yeah. That was the days when all we really had was Craigslist. Did I do my fair share of perusing Craigslist for some, jobs I would really just can't believe I even looked into? Yes, I did. Did I find maybe one or two of them? Sure. Yeah.
We all have a past. It made money. You know what?
Was it worth it, though, for me to make, what did I make, $50 maybe to watch some random guy masturbate in front of me that just randomly showed up to the house I was living in?
Well, they already showed up at your house, but I mean...
So here was the pitch, okay? Even now, I'm looking back on it, and I was like, that was dangerous for me, first of all. Second of all, what the hell was this, scam? And what a weird scam, because they literally posted this job as, your job as this employee would be to, vet these entertainers. Yeah. So they needed you to get a group of women together, which I did. I called up a few friends.
I was so jealous we were friends.
And I literally said, I have a weird proposition. Will you come over to my house and watch this guy jack off? I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. It's legit. Was it legit? I don't know. Did this guy just come up with this scam?
I think
he was I'm going to pretend I'm starting a job where I need people to vet entertainment.
I mean, that's genius.
Isn't it genius? If that was the scam, kudos to you, sir.
That's it. Bravo. And that's worth the $50.
Talk about awkward, okay? Because literally I had maybe 3 or 4 girlfriends that would show up for me to do something like this. And literally once things started happening, first of all, it was awkward as fuck, right? But I knew it was like my job. So I had to be there. Mm-hmm. They could leave. Yeah. And they did.
Yeah.
So then it quickly became me in a room with this random guy who I think was probably like my age now. So like late 30s, 40-ish. Not attractive.
Oh.
And I literally had to kind of put on this hat of like, okay, I'm this boss lady who's going to tell you that it's time to show me what you got. And he literally just like dropped a trowel and just started masturbating in front of me. And I was like, this is weird. Do I like this? Is this?
So that's when he starts, is this my kink?
No, am I into this? Yeah. Or is this gross? It's gross, but am I still into it? Like, what is this? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I had a moment where I was like, what have I gotten myself into? I cannot believe that I am here doing this. Also, like, yikes, right? And my friends, my poor friends, are literally like outside of the room, outside of the house, looking in through the window,
making sure
like,
you're okay.
Oh my God, what is she doing? I can't believe she's doing this. What the fuck? And then they're probably thinking, why is she my friend? What the fuck is going on? But you know what? I'll give him credit. He didn't he didn't make it last forever. He got to the point.
Yeah,
thankfully.
He was efficient.
And literally, he showed up. He did his thing and he left. And I was supposed to like write out a report. Like, here's what he did. Here's what he did really good. And here's what he could work on.
Yeah, he's like reading and masturbating.
But they paid me. So I'm like, it had to be legit. Or this guy was like smart enough, which he didn't come across as like a guy that could come up with a scam like this. But I was like, what in the weirdness is this? But yeah, so I potentially helped some entertainment company vet some talent.
That's amazing.
Strangely, they didn't ask me to do it anymore after that, and I'm pretty sure I would have said no thanks. That was enough for me.
Yeah.
But talk about a weird experience. And at that time in my life, I was very much like we started off. I was like, hey, it's an experience. Check it off the list. I don't have to ever do that again. Like bucket list, check. I bet you can't see. I was like, ooh, this is going to be a cool story at parties. Now, this is literally the only time I've ever shared this story. So,
but it is amazing. And it's not like I will let you know right now, I am that friend. If you ever have to watch someone jerk off again,
call Sara.
Like, I'm there, babe. I'll hold your hand and we'll film together. Like, I'll give you tips. I think that he could stroke his balls some more. I will.
Right?
I am all in. Like, you can't shock me.
The funniest part of this story, in my opinion, is I gave him a towel because I was like, where is he going to put it?
Yeah.
The towel happened to have a cock on it. Not like a chicken.
Yeah.
Right? Like the rooster.
Not like a penis.
But I was like, yeah, go ahead and jizz on the cock. Okay? So there we go.
Did you have to pick it up and wash it?
I mean, I think we threw it away.
Okay, that seems
I think it was like a hazmat situation. Like we probably used tongs to like pick it up and then just immediately threw it away.
And then burned the tongs.
If we were smart, we would have made him do it. But I didn't have any experience.
Next time, the jerking off scenario.
But what can I say? Was that a shitty job? It was a jizzy job. I don't know.
It's an experience and it's funny.
Yes, I was young. I was living life. I was out there making my mistakes, and how else do you learn but to just make some mistakes? Will I ever let somebody jack off in front of me for money? Yeah, I would actually.
Well, on that note, I feel like that's the perfect place to stop. Thank you, Chelsea. You were a fantastic guest. Best in studio. Sorry, Joe and Heather. Chelsea was the best. And remember, folks, make today your bitch.